Yes, here we go again. I had some technical issues during the first attempt, but here we are again. Let's do some technical analysis here on the price of Bitcoin, and hope you're all having a fantastic Monday. Yo, with Christmas and New Year's and all these public holidays, it's difficult to keep track of time. Right, so as you can see, this is the trend that everyone, Andy messed up your stream. Hit those likes, yes, on your way in. Yeah, Andy is an absolute legend. I mean, doing 3-4 hour live streams, it really takes a lot of energy to do that. So, but I'm going to be brief, I'm going to be bright, I'm going to go through the scenarios, areas of interest that I'm currently watching. And this is the trend that is trending on social media at the moment. Okay, we have experienced a little bit of a breakout over here. Can the momentum continue here to the upside? How high is it going to go? Dewald, the type of guy who puts his blanket over his laptop when when it's in sleep mode. Why not? Why not? Why not? Okay. I'll go through some comments. We can look at Bitcoin, couple of scenarios here, and let's get the party on the road. Okay, so from a simplicity, let's start from a simplicity perspective. From a simplicity perspective, I mean to have a large trend from the all-time high, okay, since the low that we created over here, and we are now chopping through the trend. It has the possibility to break to the upside. I'm not sure what your trading strategy and your rules are, but this is definitely an area of interest for some longing opportunities to at least come and claim the highs of this little range. Okay, so I mean, ideally this should be your trading setup. Okay, you build a position in the zone, you're targeting the highs. Okay, and we can talk about this potential long, okay? We can really talk about this potential long here to the upside. So in essence, guys, I have a fly that does not want to sleep. Irina, welcome. I haven't seen you in a while. Mr. Joan, welcome to the live stream. We'll listen to you next time, mate. So tired. Moon Momo, absolute pleasure, man. No worries. I mean, luckily these streams are saved on YouTube, so you can watch them whenever. So from a simplicity perspective, okay, applying your trading strategy, you have a long-term trend that is currently being chopped here at the moment. What is interesting about this trend is what I like to do is I like to take a fib from the high to the low of the structure. Okay. And then each level to the upside, especially if it has nice little confluence, becomes great TP areas. So if this breakout continues, the minimum target is usually the 0.382 as a TP1. So, you know, I don't know where you plan to take your risk management, but your stop loss is supposed to go below this low. Okay, some people might enter the trade and they said, well, I'm not willing to deal with 8% risk. Okay, and they're going to put their stop loss below this low over here. Sometimes the danger of moving your stop loss is that price, often what it likes to do, not always, but it likes to do that. It consolidates, okay, it stops people out, and then it continues to the upside. And then you're like, crap. I should have left my stop loss where my stop loss is supposed to go. Okay. Because, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole in terms of risking too much money, because obviously, you know, if you're entering a trade and you cannot sleep at night, you're most probably risking too much. You get stopped out, and okay, it's not a great feeling, because this range has been incredibly difficult to analyze. Okay, we're just not breaking this range over the festive time. We're just not breaking the range. We have broken trend. Now it looks like an impulse here to the downside, and we can zoom into the smaller time frames to make sense of what's going on. But I just want to highlight from a simplicity perspective is that, well, this does look interesting for a long position. For the moment, this move to the downside really looks like a three-wave structure. And usually when you have a three-wave structure to the downside, you increase the probabilities of claiming that high again. Okay? But in a three-wave structure, you could form a larger correction, because if this is a 1, 2, 3, it's either A or a W. So this could be the start of a longer correction. If it's a, you form a B and you continue down. If it's a W, you form a X, but you still continue down. You still take the lows. So there is a chance that you're not going to claim that high just as yet. Always a chance. And this is why when you play along, it is so important to identify your profit-taking areas. TP1, TP2, TP3. You literally can keep it as simple as just making your Fibonacci levels your TP areas. And usually what I like to do is, guys, as soon as I hit TP1, okay, it depends on the structure and your risk tolerance and how you want to manage the trade. Okay, let's say price continues here to the upside. It hits TP1. Okay, that for me usually is already a great time to start de-risking your position. So that if price decides to fall back to the downside, you benefit from that profit. Okay, it's just the way that I like to trade. Depends on the structure, the time frame that I'm trading, because the minimum requirement, okay, the one thing that I'm keeping in mind is the most bullish case scenario is that you have a three-wave structure to the downside and you take the high. Okay, that's the most bullish case scenario, because I must be honest, this really looks more than like a three-wave structure over here and not a five-wave impulse. Because if price did this and we were over here and then we broke trend, there's a higher chance that you're going to form a three-wave up and continuation to the downside. But when you have a three-wave structure down and you start breaking trend, there's always a good chance you're going to claim that high. I'm just talking about structures. Three-wave structure, 5 waves up, 3 waves down, you take the high. It's just a higher probability. But I'm very aware of a longer correction that could take place here, and this is why you have to manage your trade. Yes, guys, you can TP1 over here. You can, let's say, okay, maybe this is not a TP, according to your plan, maybe this is not a TP area. This is another TP for you. I really like these pivots, okay? These pivots, okay, really nice to have on your chart, because this could be TP1, TP2, and then you leave the rest of the position open for higher levels. So it's about how you manage your trade at the end of the day. Something that is very interesting for me where price is at the moment, because I know, there's always the fear, the doubt in the back of your mind. What if this is a fake out? What if it just, loses momentum? What if this looks like a breakout and it just falls here to the downside? Okay, well, at some point you have to pull the trigger and follow your plan. But I think what is interesting about this zone for me, even a little bit down lower, let me explain a couple of scenarios that I'm watching. So I just want to open up another Bitcoin chart over here, the Coinbase one, because I have different scenarios mapped out over there. I'm just loading it up here quick. Let's go to the 8 hour and wait for that to load up. Okay. So something interesting that I spoke about in my live stream yesterday as well. Well, not yesterday, in my previous live stream. Let's just leave it at that. Let me just hide some of the stuff that I was doing over here. Okay. Let's talk about this scenario. Okay. So in this scenario, okay, I might have to go here to the 12-hour time frame. Let's just hope it doesn't take too long to load up. Okay, so in this scenario, since the lows that we formed in November 2022, we've had this nice little impulse here to the upside. So in this scenario, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all of this is still part of a corrective structure, okay, where you formed an A, a B, and now you're forming a C wave here to the downside, okay, where you need one more low. You really need one more low for this to be an ABC flat. And for the moment, this is a three-wave structure. Okay? In this scenario, let's look at this structure over here. I'm here on the 12-hour time frame, guys. To count an impulse to the downside, okay, where you have formed a 1, a 2, a 3, this is 4, okay, and we start falling here to the downside to complete the fifth wave. There's a couple of problems with this scenario, and I'll go into that now. But what I'm trying to highlight over here is that the biggest move already happened. Your third wave is the most explosive, the longest, carries the highest amount of volume, okay? Carries the highest average. Look at the average volume, guys. This is why I have the average line here. I'm not looking at one specific volume candle. I look at the average amount of volume, and you can see on average, your third wave carried the highest amount of volume. Which means that even if price falls to the downside to complete a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we move up in a three-wave corrective structure, for continuation, or this is the end of C and we just bull market continues, altcoin starts exploding, maybe we get a very delayed I don't know what's going to happen, okay, is whether we do or do not claim the low. This zone for me is very interesting for long opportunities. So depending on your trading plan, you could say, well, I'm going to risk 1% over here. If price falls and claims the low, I'm going to risk another 1%. And I'm going to risk another 1%. And there's some very interesting levels to the downside. So you could risk 3% over here. Okay? And because after the point that I'm trying to make is, legends, whether you claim the low or not, there's a high chance that price is going to reverse in the zone to at least come and eat up this high. There's a high chance. Okay, so I'm just sharing with you the thoughts that I am thinking of. Maybe I should consider opening up a swing position over here. It's going to take long to play out because it could move up. I take profits, but then I only have 1% of the position open. Doesn't matter. It moves down. Okay, and then I have 3% open, but I'm not going to risk more than I'm willing to lose. Okay, depending on your appetite, how much you plan to lose. But I mean, the last thing you want to do is open up a 100x position here, and by the time you get here, your account is liquidated. You need to be clever about how you trade this. Because, okay, even if you still expect a fifth wave to the downside, or whether this is an A, B, C. Maybe it's finished. And now we're forming a three-wave structure to the upside. It looks like a good area to start looking for long positions, swing positions, low leverage, low capital. Okay. It's just something that I'm pondering about. Yes, it is absolutely amazing to be able to snipe the low and to be able to snipe the high. It is absolutely amazing, but it's very difficult to absolutely nail the lows and the highs. From a scalping perspective, high leverage positions perspective, yes, you want to catch those pivotal points, okay, those swing failure points. We still have a lot of levels here to the downside, okay, daily levels, weekly levels, point of controls. There's lots of, if you want to snipe it and you believe price is going to form this fifth wave here to the downside, by all means, okay. But I'm also aware of another scenario where this is an A, not a 4, okay. 4 is, okay, let's just entertain, or let me maybe switch off the doomsday scenario, okay. I'm also considering, well, what if this is an A, we create a B flat, and then we create a C to the upside, a larger three-wave structure, which is basically a W, X, and then you fall down, A, B, C, and a Y. But can you guys see, I'm expecting a move up. Whether you form a flat, whether you form a fifth wave, or whether the low is in and we form a larger structure to the upside, I am expecting momentum to go up. Yes, it could be the move that takes us to higher levels, but I mean, that's just how you manage the trade and your risk here to the upside. So for me, price is at a very interesting zone. Whether it moves up from here, whether it moves up from here, or maybe a little bit further down, but I am expecting the highs to at least be claimed. So I'm thinking about a swing position in this zone. Okay, we can go and analyze the structure in a moment. But the probabilities are very low. Okay, and this is why I trade probabilities. The probabilities are very low for this to happen. Just capitulate to the downside. It doesn't make sense. Okay, structurally, it doesn't make sense to just capitulate to the downside. The worst case scenario that I see is that what if this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we fall, but you still expect price to turn around in a three-wave structure before we capitulate to the downside. Okay, because you have to form that 1, you have to form the 2, and then you absolutely fall in a third wave to the downside. Okay, but from a swing trading perspective, I can still take advantage of this move. But there's also the chance, okay, because for the moment, this structure to the downside is a three-wave structure. 1, 2, 3. It's a three-wave structure. And if it breaks to the upside, remember about the probabilities. Okay, it does have a chance to claim this high. But it's just going to be about how you manage your trade. Because for that fifth wave, guys, just out of interest, for this fifth wave here to the downside, I am spotting a little bit of an issue. Okay, do you guys remember that channel that I had? And I've been speaking about that channel for months. Okay, the parallel channel. You take it from 0. Whoops, just do that again. You take it from 0. I like to do this with a magnet because I want it accurate. You take it from 0 to 2 to 1. Let's try that again. There we go. Oops. Okay, you need lots of patience with this magnet. Okay, there we go. In an impulse, in a 5-wave move to the downside, in a 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, 5, you've now broken the top of the channel, which is now the trend that everyone is talking about on social media. It's not an invalidation, but it does impact probabilities. And I'll show you guys here inside of this range how many channels played out to perfection. It's a really great tool to have handy from an impulsive perspective. So it's not great. It's not an invalidation to have a 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then we fall down here in a 5. It's not an invalidation, but it's not great. It does impact probabilities. Okay, it does impact probabilities. It's not great, but I'm saying that, well, there's still a chance, but I'm still expecting at least a 3-wave move up, even if we fall here to the downside. What actually looks better if we do take the low, if this is an A, and I label this a B, and a C to the upside, that actually looks way better. 3-wave structure to the upside. Okay, then guys, it's no more impulse, it's no more 5-wave structure. Okay, the sad reality is, and I think this is going to frustrate a lot of people, the sad reality is that if this is a 3-wave structure in an ABC, however you want to count it, it could also be an A, B, C, like that. That actually makes way more sense to me to have an ABC like this. Because in a C wave, okay, I like to see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where's 4, 5? It's not here. So it actually makes more sense to count this as an A, okay, this as a 3-wave structure and a B, and this little move, the C wave, because inside of this structure, I can count 5 waves. Beautiful. But regardless, okay, it's a 3-wave structure. It's a 3-wave structure. So the sad reality is when you have an A and a B and a C, a 3-wave structure to the downside, that could be a wave A. All of this could be a wave B. Okay, then you go down for a C. Okay, and then maybe this becomes W. Then you go back up for X. Then you go down for another ABC. So what I'm trying to highlight over here is when you have a 3-wave move and you don't go up and claim the high, you could form a much larger corrective structure. The first thing I always look at, okay, is the ABC. If I don't see an impulse to the upside, then you start thinking about WXYs, and then you know, oh crap, you know, things can get really boring. Sorry guys, I am competing and contending with the fly here at the moment. Okay, so once you make a high, because I got this question a couple of times previously, once you make a high, the first thing you have to consider is the ABC, and there's a chance that you can go up. Sorry guys, I'm really okay. I'm fighting with the fly here in the office. All this whole thing is W. Yes, this whole thing is W as well. Okay, but it's either a or a W. If this is A, then B has to go and tap a flat target. The 0.9 is the minimum flat target. So ideally it is A. We go up, okay, you take a fifth from the high to the low. You see there's the 0.9. So if it's A, this is the difference. If this is A, B has to tap the 0.9 as a minimum target. That's your minimum flat target. If this is a W, well then X, the minimum target, most commonly is the 0.382. And this is why I'm saying, guys, this breakout is interesting because price could continue, tap the 0.382, it gives you an X and you fall down in an A, B, C, in a Y wave. And that could get really ugly here to the downside. So many scenarios, guys, many scenarios here on the higher time frame. The question is, okay, how do you trade this? How do you trade this? So I know from a directional bias perspective and from a probability perspective, a 5-wave move down is starting to carry low probability. But if it had to play out, there's a good chance for a bounce back to the upside. If it's not a 5-wave structure, then I'm looking at an A, B, C. So you still look for the low to be claimed, but you're still looking for a momentum here to the upside to go and claim the 0.382. At least I'm just talking about minimum targets here, guys. This can get really explosive here to the upside, but I'm now just talking about minimum targets. So from a directional bias perspective, I also know that this could be a W, a X, and a Y. An A, B, C. A 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But can you guys see in all of the scenarios, I'm looking for up. And this is how I gain directional bias. And this is why a swing trade looks so interesting at the moment. So it really depends on how you want to trade this. And this is why you can't just, well, for me, okay, guys, I'm just a crazy dude here on YouTube sharing technical analysis. You need to do your own research and remember the disclaimer that I shared during the beginning of the live stream. So if you are building a position here with your entire portfolio at 20, 10x leverage, I don't know how you manage your risk and your position size, thinking that you are going to claim the high and it doesn't, okay, it's a very dangerous position to put your portfolio in. Okay. because there's definitely a chance that you could three-wave up and then ABC here to the downside. That could go down as low as 40K. Okay, it could really get nasty here to the downside. But I'm now just trying, guys, this is very far ahead. I'm just now trying to predict the next move, what could happen. The next logical move for me is either we move up here, we create a flat, or we create a fifth wave and a larger three-wave structure up. But you guys can see I have directional bias, with or without claiming the low, and this area starts becoming very interesting for me from a swing perspective, to at least come and claim these highs and tap the 0.382. I take some profits, I protect position, and as price climbs here to the upside, I just TP myself out of the position. That's basically what I am really thinking about here. Okay, since yesterday, I've been thinking about this. Like, what are the probabilities of just falling? And the probabilities, guys, the market is here to surprise us. But the probabilities are very low to just capitulate. From where price is now, okay, yes, it makes sense to create one more low. That makes sense. Or a flat, ABC flat. Or a WXY, where the low does not get claimed. So I have directional bias to the upside. I just don't know what's going to happen. But maybe one way to trade it is by opening up a swing trade. I have not opened up the position yet, just by the way, guys. I have not opened up the position yet, but I'm just sharing with you what I am thinking at the moment. Like, maybe it is worth opening up a low leverage swing position here to the upside. Okay, from a day trading perspective, now that's a different ball game. That is very interesting from a day trading perspective. So let's go back here onto the Binance chart. Okay, so let's clean it up. And also, by the way, I mean, guys, if you start switching on your levels, okay, I know it's going to look like a Christmas tree. I mean, it's festive time. It's a little bit like a Christmas tree, okay? But what is very interesting, when you start looking at all the levels that I have here on the chart, you can see that we have so much support in this zone. We have a daily level, we have a weekly level, we have a weekly point of control, we have another daily level. So a lot of support in the zone. So if we do get this fake out, okay, very interesting longing opportunity. Very, very, very interesting. So, I mean, guys, from a trade management perspective, and I'm just sharing with you what I'm thinking, is that if this is my trading setup, so let's say I build a position here, and maybe I want to get out at the 0.618, depending on your plan and how you want to execute the trade. Maybe you are just happy. You're happy with this. That's enough for you. You're not going to wait for the high to be claimed, because, you know, the probability says that we could continue this range for much longer. Your stop loss is supposed to go below this low. So one thing that I'm thinking about is that I don't want to be stopped out and get the bounce. So from a probability perspective, it's to say that, well, you know, maybe it's a 1% here. Maybe it's another 1%. Maybe once we claim the low over there, it depends on how you want to trade this. Maybe you add another 1% here. And once you claim the low, you add another 1% in this box. So now you have exposure. For me, then I have exposure to 3%. The question is, where do you put your stop loss? Okay. For me, a stop loss would be as follow. Because, I mean, you have to have an invalidation. You can't just enter a position and close your eyes and hope for the best. It drops, you add. It drops, you add. You know, you have to have, like, this is it. This is my line in the sand. If price hits this level, I'm out. Then I was wrong. Okay? So an invalidation for me would be if I take a trend-based fib from the low to the high of the structure and I reverse it, I think I'm considering putting my invalidation at the 1.618, $72,000. There we go. That will be my invalidation. So I just want to see, where do we have all those levels? I mean, you can see all those levels are above. Okay, all those levels are above. The reason for the 1.618, and I'm happy to take the knock depending on how, you know, how big you've built your position, is that if this is an A, B, C to the upside in a flat, or a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, in a fifth wave, yes, you have a chance to claim the 1.618, but if this is an ABC flat, it's not allowed to clap, or it's very rare, extremely rare for your B to claim the 1.618. So it's also a good, I'm just sharing with you guys my thinking process. This is what I'm thinking. I haven't executed anything yet. I'm sharing with you, well, what do I think about when I consider opening up a larger position? Low leverage position. Okay, so I'm thinking that maybe I should put my stop because I have to have an invalidation. Have to. Okay, you have to have an invalidation. You can't just add. So now I'm trying to think, well, where's the best place that when I'm wrong, I know that when that level gets hit, it's most probably going to fall further to the downside. And for now, the 1.618 makes a lot of sense. Okay, but to have a stop loss all the way here at the 2 extension, guys, it just depends on how much leverage and position size you're trading. But then, you know, it's not making the risk to reward worth it anymore for me. Or you could say, well, I'm going to play this differently. Okay, I'm going to wait. I don't care about this breakout. I think this is going to nuke down. And then you can build a position inside the zone where you need to build the position. You can have better risk management. So that's what I'm saying, guys. I have not decided, but I know that there's also a good chance for price to continue here to the upside. And then I've missed out on the move. And that is also why the smaller time frames are so important, because you can combine the smaller time frames with how you are planning to play this breakout. Okay, I'm not just going to enter a position here blindly, put my stop loss all the way down here, and the risk reward doesn't make sense. Just doesn't make sense for me at the moment. I know that there's a high chance to move to the upside, but I need to plan the trade with good risk management, and the risk to reward needs to make sense. Okay, so now I can take all of this out the way, take the fib out the way. Let's look at this little structure over here. So, okay, there's a couple of things that can happen. We have, let me see if I saved it over here. I think this is the one that Andy's also speaking about at the moment. Okay, can you guys see basically what I've already explained? You have formed an A, B, C in a W. This is your W, your X in a triangle, and you go up for an ABC. Yes, it can extend further. Okay, I don't know how high. I don't know how high the X wave is going to go. But this triangle scenario does look very interesting, where you basically formed an A, B, C, D, and maybe this is a 3-wave structure to complete the E wave. But then I want to see an impulse. Guys, remember, after you make a low, you want to see an impulse to the upside. So I'm very interested locally what's happening over there. Oh, and by the way, maybe before I dive into the structure, because I know that there's some people that are saying that the low is in. Okay, the low is in. We are going to go to $170,000, $200,000. Bull market is continuing. It's not a, guys, because what I look for as a technical trader, once price falls and it stops, okay, can I count an impulse inside of that structure? Is it a corrective structure or is it an impulsive structure? For the moment, this structure looks way more corrective than impulsive. I can tell you now that if I saw, once this low was made, and I saw a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we were now coming down over here, I would have been way more aggressive with a longing opportunity. Way more aggressive, because I have a confirmed 5-wave structure. So the problem, since we made this low, the problem is this. It does not look impulsive. You can force an impulsive count in here. Okay, let's zoom in. in a diagonal. You could say, well, Dewald, there you go. We do have an impulse. Okay, what are you talking about? Okay, we're going to go and claim the high. We are going to continue the bull market because we do have a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5. This is all just part of the correction. We have not claimed the low. This becomes 1. This is my 2. Okay, maybe we fall down. Okay, maybe you'll move your 2 to over there. Okay, and now we are going to, but then what I would like to see, okay, what I would like to see, because I'm very happy to change my mind depending on how the structure plays out. It has to be said that diagonals carry low probability, first up. Then secondly, a leading diagonal out of all the diagonals carries the lowest probability. So we're now dealing with the lowest probable diagonal over here. Okay, so basically what you want to see is a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5. What I would do, take a fib from the low to the high to the low, and you at least want the 1.618 to be claimed. Okay, there's many ways in which you can trade this, guys. Okay, you can wait for confirmation. So you at least want your third wave here to tap $106,000. Okay, let's just put it like that. Take this out the way. This is what you want to see. And then I'm very happy to change my mind. You want to see a 1, a 2. You want to see an explosive wave here to the upside. Because remember, when you get here, okay, this is a 3-wave structure. That's dangerous. Okay, this is a shorting opportunity. That's a shorting opportunity. So definitely worth hedging, you know, opening up a short opportunity over here, because once you have a 3-wave structure, that could be your X, and then you fall down. Okay, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. What I would like to see is a 4 and a 5. Because if I'm shorting here, price falls to the downside and it moves up again, and I have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't mind getting stopped out of this short. I really don't mind. Because once you have a 5-wave move up, it's the retracement that provides an epic longing opportunity. Because then I can say, now it looks like we have a proper 5-wave structure to the upside. The retracement becomes a very interesting longing opportunity to go and claim the high and continue the bull market to the upside. Because now I have a confirmed 5-wave structure. This is an absolute mess. Okay, the fact that it's a diagonal is already low probability. The fact that it's a leading diagonal gives it even lower probability. And then there are issues inside of the structures. I can count this structure as a WXY, 3-wave structure. I can count this structure as a 3-wave structure. But now, that to me, I feel like I have to force a 3-wave structure in there. Now you can go the other way around. Well, what if it's all 5-wave structures? Okay, maybe, yes, I can count 5 waves in this structure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one, beautiful 5-wave structure. And then also, what the hell is that? That is not a 5-wave structure. That's a, you guys can see there's issues inside of this structure. Okay, do you remember when we were here? There was issues. Once you make a low, you want to count a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We didn't get 4 and 5. So the probabilities were higher to claim the low again. Once price stopped here, 1, 2, 3. Where's 4 and 5? So I need to see 4 and 5. And only after then the retracement becomes interesting for a long. So can you guys see it's the same thing over here. If this does this, oops. Let me just redo that. That's terrible. Absolutely terrible. 1, 2, 3. Well, then you have the same scenario. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Can you guys see that why that is such an interesting shorting opportunity? Because if you do not get this and it falls, there's a high chance you're going to claim the low. And even $50,000. Okay, it can get really aggressive to the downside. So there's a longing opportunity, there's a shorting opportunity If I get stopped out of this short, I really don't mind getting stopped out of this short, because that opens up the door for some nice bullishness in the air. But this structure is not giving me confidence that we're going to get that. Okay, guys, let me just clean up the scribble over here. Also remember, if you would like to come and trade, Valto, it's a decentralized exchange. I know the team, spoken to the CEO. Low trading fees at the moment if you do like to trade on Dexus. Bluffin, 15% cashback. There's also a nice little deal coming with Bluffin for everyone that signs up or still want to sign up. Weeks, as you know, 25% discount on your trading fees. And then BTCC, where you can trade commodities, gold, silver, Facebook. Okay, and if you want to join our Legends Pro community, links are down in the description. Also your way to support the channel, but it costs you nothing extra. You just benefit from the biggest deals these exchanges has to offer. Okay, so now let's get back into... Okay, I just wanted to talk here about the most bullish case scenario. Okay, the most bullish case scenario for the moment does not carry the highest probability. But if I'm wrong, can you guys see? I don't mind being wrong in my technical analysis, because I know the structure is going to show me the way. If I see this after this move here to the upside, and I see this, that is my clue. Okay, maybe there's a trend. I play the breakout. There's many ways in which to trade it. ABC 1.618, when you take your fib from the low to the... there's many ways in which I can anticipate getting into this long to play the bigger leg here to the upside. Okay, I want to trade that leg, but I need to see that. That's why that is such an interesting shorting opportunity. Okay, so now let's zoom into the smaller time frames. Okay, so let me take those trends out the way. Let's go here onto the 1 hour time frame. Let's just look at this little structure here at the moment. Okay, so like I've highlighted, there's the triangle. Okay, in this scenario, what you would like to see is for this low is not allowed to be claimed. In this scenario, the low is not allowed to be claimed. And this is why this zone is such an interesting zone for a longing opportunity. You know exactly where your invalidation needs to go. And you're basically targeting the high, even the 0.382 at $98,000. It can extend to the upside, no problem. Okay. I think the one that will most probably throw a little bit of a curveball is ABCs can be very complex. Okay, this little structure can be very complex. I mean, from a simplicity perspective, it would be nice just to get a nice little three-wave structure here to complete the Y wave. You have a W, a X, and you have a three-wave structure in a Y. Beautiful, makes sense. Okay, I just have to highlight that this B can create a flat. You can create a flat up here. Okay, and this is why when I opened up the live stream and I said everyone, and I told everyone, I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to put their stop losses here because they're playing the breakout at the moment. They're risking too much, so they want to have a tight stop loss. They want to have a tight stop loss. Okay, it breaks out. They're like, happy days. I caught it. Beautiful. It's amazing. It stops them out. Okay, that's why your stop loss is supposed to go below this low. And then you have the nice little rally here to the upside. So just, you know, that is why it's so important to put your risk management where you're supposed to put your risk management. I'm just very aware of the scenario. Okay, and then obviously you could just get a normal zigzag here to the upside. Retest the trend. Okay, nice little bounce, breakout, retest, continuation. I think what's going to be interesting about this scenario, anyways, is if it does this. That's going to be really interesting if it does that, but we'll get to that once it happens. Okay, so this is the scenario that makes the most sense at the moment. Okay, I mean, and you can do this many ways, guys. I mean, from a Fibonacci perspective, from the low to the high, you can see we've just tapped the 0.7. There's still a chance that price does this and then it bounces. Okay, and then you invalidate the triangle. Okay, but I am keeping an eye on the 0.7. I can play a swing failure. I mean, that was a beautiful swing failure pattern from the 0.7. Okay, if you know how to play swing failure patterns, you dip below the lows, you get acceptance back above, you know where to trigger your long, where to put your stop loss, you take profits on the way up. Same thing here. If price had to fall, invalidating the triangle, I will be paying attention. I mean, you've got a nice little consolidation area over here. You have this little pivot for a swing failure pattern. If price had to dip below, get acceptance back above, okay, I know where to put my stop loss. I know where to enter or how to enter. Because I think from a psychology perspective, like, oh God, now the triangle is invalidated. What now? Okay, and then you get the bounce, and this is still maybe this is your W over here. Okay, this is a 3-wave X or an A. This is your A. Okay, you get your B here to the downside, and then your C here to the upside. Okay, so I have a plan. I think the most important thing, or the only thing that you can do as a trader, is to have a plan. You don't know where price is going to go, but if you have a plan and you have your alarm set, you can make a trading decision. Or a trading decision. But if you don't have a plan, okay, you have no plan over here, and price falls, what are you going to do? Okay, it's nothing for you to do if you don't have a plan. Right, okay, cool. So now let's dive into the local structure. Let's go here onto 15-minute time frame. The most bearish case scenario that I see here at the moment, okay, is that we formed this this leading diagonal. Okay, let's talk about the most bearish case scenario. There we go. This is the most bearish case scenario. It does not carry the highest probability. It has to be said. Okay. You have formed a 1. This is 1. All of this is just a very complex WXY. Okay. This could be your WXY. Maybe this is your A. Okay, maybe that's your B. You have an ABC. It's just a complex corrective structure, okay, which is actually diminishing the probability, but you have formed your 1. This is maybe your 2, and you start falling to the downside. Or it's creating a 1, 2, a 1, 2 flat. And then it could, so basically you're going to fall down in a 3rd wave to complete that 5th wave to the downside. The scenario does not have the highest probability. It's just something that I had to highlight to say that, well, you know, there's a chance for an impulse here to the downside. It's not pretty. This correction is going sideways for so long. I just want to see from a timing perspective, from the start to the end. It's past the 2 extension already. It's still fine, but you know, there's another problem. If this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, to have a flat corrective structure inside of a diagonal, yeah, it's like rarity upon rarity. I cannot give the scenario the highest probability. Okay, but okay, now let's get to the day trading scenarios, the scalping scenarios. Okay, what is always interesting to me, now let's dive into the 5-minute time frame, is what did the structure look like? Because this morning, let me explain to you what I was looking for this morning. When I did an update to the Legends Pro community, I was looking at this. Okay, I was looking at this, or maybe that. Multiple nested 1-2s. And I need the structure to make sense to me to know how to trade it. So I knew that there was the possibility of an A, a B, and a C, a three-wave structure. So I told everyone what I would like to see is this repeat over here. Then I'm going to be very interested in long opportunities. So when price made this high and it started falling here to the downside, I wanted to see 4, 5, 4, 5. I wanted to see this structure repeat over here. This becomes a very interesting shorting opportunity, but also a very interesting longing opportunity, because now you have an impulse. You long the correction and then you get continuation. So if that breakout from the higher time frame trend on the 4-hour is real, I wanted to see this. And then we didn't get it. So I was like, okay, well, the range continues. Okay, but because I didn't get this, I didn't short, and obviously I didn't long. Okay, so now you have to pay attention to the next structure that is forming. Okay, we formed a three-wave structure. This is a three-wave structure. ABC. This is a three-wave structure. We almost took the low. But now it's this structure that becomes interesting. What is happening over here? Okay, so let me take this out the way. This is obviously a three-wave structure up, which means you increase the probabilities of taking the low. If you have a three-wave move up, you increase the probabilities that you're going to take the low. Okay, so what I would like to see is at least this low to be claimed. Because when you form a five-wave structure, you can expect either two things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You either expect a three-wave up, which is a trading opportunity. I don't care, okay, if it claims the high or not. It's a trading opportunity and continuation to the downside. Or it's the end, because maybe this is part of a final C wave here to the downside, and then we have the explosion and the breakout to the upside. So it's about trade management at the end of the day. Take some profits, protect position, leave some of the position open for higher levels. Now, this scenario is interesting to me because also from a channeling perspective. So when I take a parallel channel, okay, now let's go and do the magnet thing again. From 0 to 2 to 1. 1, 2, anyways, you guys get the point. So the probabilities are always high that as long as you do not tap the top of the channel, down we go. Because in an impulse, preferably you do not tap the top of the channel. So then for now, I can label this a 1, 2, 3, okay, maybe 4 and 5 here to the downside. Or this is a flat corrective running flat, where basically that's your number 4. So as long as we do not claim the top of the channel, like I've shared with you on the higher time frame, there's a good chance that we are going to create a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can see how much volume was in that move. Loads of volume in that move. Average volume increasing over here. So you don't expect a capitulation to the downside. Okay, you don't want to see a repeat of this. Basically, okay, you don't want to see a repeat of that. It's too low. Unless you get an extended fifth wave, but they are rare. So I do have some interesting levels here to the downside that I'm keeping an eye on. As long as we do not tap the top, I know that there's an interesting longing opportunity. Also a very interesting shorting opportunity. Maybe you played the SFP, the three-wave structure. Beautiful three-wave structure, by the way. 1, A, B, C, 2, 3, 4, 5. It could still fall. I mean, but basically what you are looking for, okay, before I put the levels on, for this fifth wave, okay, you want to see the fifth wave end on lower volume. You want to see lower volume between this, okay, and this. That's my clue. That's the clue that I'm looking for. If it falls, I want to see lower volume form over here. Okay, it should not be higher than this, especially the average volume. Then this becomes a very interesting longing opportunity. Most importantly, what I will wait for is price needs to get acceptance back above this low. Okay, if you want to wait for confirmation, you don't know where to long, you wait for price to get acceptance back above this low. Okay, that's your longing opportunity. You know where to put your stop loss. Okay, TP1, TP2, TP3. Okay. I mean, even a TP1 over here is a beautiful, it's a beautiful trade. It's an absolutely stunning trade over there because you could form a three-wave up and continuation to the downside. There's always that what if and but I mean, if you know how to take profits and where to take profits, okay, you can trade most structures. Okay, because when the danger, okay, the danger of longing, well, let me not call it a danger. What is a better word? When you have a 5-wave structure to the downside, there's always a good chance that you're going to form a 3-wave up, not take the highs and continue momentum to the downside. So you better know where to take profits, because I can tell you now, when this trend breaks, because there's going to be people that's going to have this trend. Okay, they're going to play the breakout. They're going to put their stop below the low. It gives them that nice little momentum. They're like, "Ooh, we're going." It falls to the downside. This becomes one that's you form a 3rd wave to the downside. Okay, that's why it's so important to know where to take profits, to protect position. Dewald, did you not cover volume education in the course? Volume? I did cover volume education in the course, but there's still a couple of modules I'm building out, which will be added. Okay, although we understand what you explained, but you cannot get creative to analyze as you do. How much is the course? I can't access the site. Guys, I will go check the link. I will update it after the live stream. If it's not working, I will go and update the link after the live stream. I can't do it now while I'm live. Get creative to analyze as you do. Although we understand what you explained, but cannot get creative to analyze as you do. Okay, this complex leading diagonal is interesting. I didn't know the details within it and Elliott wave theory. This is Dewald. Thank you, sir. Baby genius. Absolute pleasure, man. Okay, so guys, yes, on the smaller time frame, what I'm trying to explain over here is it's also always very interesting to look for me at the local structure. If I get another move to the downside, it becomes an interesting longing opportunity. If price moves up, tap the top of the channel, then okay, and this is what happened here with this channel. Guys, and the channeling is still something that I'm including as part of the course. Okay, this was also very interesting. Let me put it there. Okay, this looked nice and impulsive here to the downside. Okay, high amount of volume. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We didn't get that. Okay. And I think it was on Sunday or on Saturday, I highlighted to the community and I said, guys, this is a problem. Okay, if we tap the top of this channel, it's a problem. For in an impulse, you do not want, okay, price to tap this channel. Then we tapped the top of the channel and what happened? Can you guys see how probability shifted? You took a high. You cannot have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's completely out of balance. Okay. Also, there was another beautiful channel, guys. I really love channeling. Okay, I really enjoy channeling. Okay, price is just struggling to load up here at the moment. I'm trying to figure out where was that import. Was this one? Anyways, I'm stuffing around here on the 15-minute time frame. It's most probably going to make more sense here on the... Yeah, here we go. Okay, this was a beautiful channel, right? This little impulse. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, okay, 4, 5, and then you tap the channel, not allowed, which means momentum is starting to turn around. Became a great shorting opportunity, and we fell down. Impulse finished. Okay. So what I would like to see personally from this range, okay, let's go back to the current price action. What I would like to see is another leg here to the downside. So first this morning, I wanted to see, well, are we going to get this? Are we going to get that? No, we didn't. So there was no shorting opportunity for me, and there was no longing opportunity for me. But I had a plan, and that's all we can do. We can just create a plan. You wait for price action to come to your plan. So my next plan is when I open up my levels or put them on the chart, okay, this daily level inside of this consolidation area, now that looks like an interesting level, confluence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, daily level. Okay, very interesting level for a longing opportunity. Okay, let me go through some comments. 1% risk normally, but then I close trade, break even, and lose $5 on fees. Yeah, it depends on how much you're willing to risk. And someone asking about risk management over here. Dewald, what about the course giveaway? Blazing Fury, I will still get to that. Okay, I will still get to that. Right. Bro, just get a job. Bro, just get a job? Who are you guys talking to? Hi, Dewald. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the live stream. Great to see you here. The course. Okay. Dewald, you did not cover volume education in the course. Well, it depends on what you mean by volume. There is the VRVP. I speak about this volume inside of the course. Yes, from an Elliott wave perspective, I have not gotten to the Elliott wave modules yet. So in Elliott wave theory, I'm going to include channeling, WXY, ABC, flat structures, running flats, diagonals, how you look at volume. I'm going to include all of that in the course. So if you've bought the course, those modules are still going to be included. Okay. And you will have access to it if you've bought the course. I started trading to practice, so I've just started with $100. Now the fees are eating away my money. Yes, anything I can do. Yes, my brother has the same problem because he's a scalper. My brother loves to scalp, and he also told me since I think he traded on Mexi, he scalped on Mexi when the fees were so incredibly low, and he managed to stay profitable, and then Mexi increased their fees, and now he's really struggling. So I told him about Weeks. Okay, if you hold the native token, they give you lower fees, and then also Valto, link down in the description, which has the lowest fees at the moment. So he's back at scalping on Valto at the moment. But yeah, I mean, scalping smaller time frames, 1 minute, 10 second, whatever your scalping strategy is. Okay, you need an exchange with extreme low fees if you're scalping such small time frames like that. If you can't double 100, you can't double 1,000. Fantastic job. I enjoyed the course. No complaints. Fantastic job. I enjoyed the course. No complaints. Mac, I'm glad you enjoyed the course, but remember, there's more coming. It's not done. Okay. I think if you read through the T's and C's when you bought the course, because of the early bird access, it was not 100% done. I'm still going to include a couple of more modules. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Okay, right, legends, that is basically what I wanted to discuss today. Is okay, I would ideally like these lows to be swept. Okay, it would be so nice just to sweep these lows. If this is going to turn out to be another 3-wave structure or 5-wave, maybe small 5-wave structure, there's always a chance for rejection, continuation to the downside, but it would be great to sweep these lows, okay, before we get continuation to the upside. There's also, guys, on the smaller time frames, I'm also keeping an eye on this little mini trend that's forming over here. Okay, it just depends on what time frame you want to trade. Okay, maybe you're a larger swing trade. Okay, maybe you wait for the break of that, which is the channel, by the way. Okay, so maybe we make the low, we break the trend, interesting longing opportunity, or or you get acceptance back above the lows, longing opportunity, you know where to put your stop loss. I don't know how aggressive. The fifth wave could literally do this. It could literally do that. Just claims the lows and gets acceptance back above. They can be very shallow as well. Okay. It just depends on what strategy you are applying. What strategy you want to trade. Do you want to trade in swing failure patterns? Okay, do you want to trade the D-line momentum shift patterns or breakout strategy? Okay, and then you can make a trading decision. Start with what you can afford. If you're already poor, just gamble all of it. If you're already poor, just gamble all of it. Hopefully you won't. Right, Dewald, it's almost New Year when... Right, legends, that's basically what I wanted to discuss. If you... Okay, guys, I know that there's the possibility, and I saw Andy speaking about this in his live stream as well. It's not pretty, but I mean, I know it can happen, where maybe this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe the 5-wave structure is done. Okay? This move up, I can tell you now, looks awfully corrective. It looks awfully corrective. I cannot count an impulse here. So if this is the 5-wave that's already done, I still expect a 3-wave corrective structure and a fall to the downside. 1, 2, 3, because you can have a bigger C wave to the downside. Okay, just something that I want to highlight. So when you look at this structure, okay, you could... This is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Claims all of the lows. 786. Remember that 786 that I showed you on the higher time frame? But then you're basically forming a larger A, B, C 3-wave structure. Okay, it finds its feet, claims, grabs all of the liquidity, and then it continues to the upside. And that's why I have a plan to the downside. 786. I have a plan. Okay, because that could be your C wave. Or it forms a larger C wave, a larger structure to the downside. Just want to have my plan ready. Because this move here, what's concerning, if price is going to continue here to the upside, invalidating a 5th wave. Okay, so let's say we're expecting a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What if price moves up here? It invalidates the 5th wave. It taps the top of the channel, taps the 0.618 when you take a fib from the low to the high. Okay, it invalidates a 5th wave. You could still, this could be your 5-wave structure. You form a 3-wave up and then you continue to the downside. 3, 4, 5. Okay, you just have a larger 5-wave structure to the downside. But I will be ready. I will be ready. Okay, because here on the 1 hour time frame, this is what I'm talking about, guys. If I just switch off the levels here, okay, don't need this. Take this out the way. Okay, that's my plan. If we fall here to the downside, that would be really, really interesting if you do form a larger impulse here to the downside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, you claim that liquidity. I will be ready. I will be ready. Okay, that's what I mean. I will be ready. Okay. Right, legends, have yourselves an amazing day. Thanks for joining the live stream. Remember to smash up that like button if you haven't done so already. Remember, links for all the exchanges that I do my trading on are down in the description. Until the next one, cheers for now.